Okay, welcome back, everyone. I hope everybody had a good laugh. We should have made sure that we got as much stuff done as possible, okay? As you can see, 45 minutes seems like a long time at the beginning. But as you're actually doing it, it felt like maybe 15 minutes, right? Maybe 20 minutes. So that means we've got to make sure that we're doing the best we absolutely can to get as much done as we can. Not maybe we need to get away from the one thing at a time, so on and so forth. And as we master this process, be able to do multiple things. Okay, so multitasking is critical, but you also want to make sure when you're multitasking that obviously you are taking care of business, that you're doing it the right way. Okay, because that's the one weakness of multitasking usually is that you rush through it until you don't do it the right way. Okay, so I want to make sure that we are very confident in everything that we do. As always, this is going to be our second part of the review. And as with all my reviews, I want it to be discussion-based, in which to say I want it to be where we are talking about the subject. And if you don't get it, I want you to ask me questions. I want you to say, look, I didn't get that. Or I want you to say, can you say that one more time? Or I want you to do whatever you need to do to make sure this is in your head, okay? This is your education. You're paying $18,000 for it. Work it out, okay? So in that sense, let's go ahead and start. So I told you three words in which to never, well, I told you one word in which to never use with your patients when you're referring to the process of releasing urine. What was that one word I told you not to use? Hey, go pee in the tub, blah, blah, okay? So, or definitely when we're documenting, I just generally don't want you to say that unless you have to. Of course, I want you to be able to break it down and effectively communicate with your patients, in which to say, if you're dealing with a 5-year-old, he's not going to understand micturate in the cup, okay? He's not going to understand that, right? So in this sense, we need to make sure that that we're kind of, even if we explain it to the patient as, hey, I need you to pee in this cup, okay, because that's the only way they can understand that. We still need to record it as, all right, patient micturated or urinated in the cup, blah, blah, so on and so forth. Okay, so in this sense, what is the process of releasing urine called? Process of releasing urine.
Urination.
Not urination, not voiding in this sense, micturating, okay? The process of releasing urine in this particular case is called micturation. Micturation, so to speak. Okay? Process of releasing urine is micturation. Excuse me. Micturation. Okay? So, I told you about a prefix. Okay? That means painful, abnormal, bad, difficult. Okay, what was that prefix? Anyone remember? Dis. Right? Somebody's dissing you. It's bad, right? They clearly have bumped their heads. Okay? So in that sense, and what is the suffix for urine or urinate? Urea, right? U-R-I-A, not U-R-E-A. Difference, right? So in that sense, what would we call it, or what would we call it when somebody has painful or abnormal or very difficult time urinating? Dysuria. Very good. Dysuria. So being able to break those words up is really, really important. Okay? Not only towards this mod, but towards future mods, because you're going to see this used all over the place, and understanding this is going to be important. Anyway, going into a couple of things that you should have read about, okay? Particularly after I told you about it last night, I said make sure you read page 138, and you'll see just about everything on it, okay? Maybe, hopefully you did that. And if you didn't, all right, I understand, but I want you to, I still need you to understand this information, okay? So, retention versus incontinence. Retention versus incontinence. If you turn to page 138 in your books, my e-books, you'll find that incontinence means the inability to hold urine, in which to say, you can't hold urine, it goes straight out. Soon as it hits the bladder, it goes straight out. Okay? And then retention is literally the opposite. So it is the inability to release urine. Okay, and which to say it kind of makes sense, right? Retention kind of means retaining, right? You're retaining all this urine. You can't pee. You can't void. You can't micturate. You can't urinate. Retention versus incontinence is important. God bless you. Know the difference between them. Retention is not able to hold the urine while inability to release the urine. Apologies, I'm sorry, you're right. Apologies. Let me say that a couple more times for those of you who are like in listening zone. Retention is the inability to release urine, while incontinence is the inability to hold the urine. Comes right out. Okay? We have a general understanding of that?
Yep.
All right. So, sweet. Going into our next term, urgency. Okay? Urgency. Okay. So, a lot of us have kind of experienced urgency before. And a lot of us kind of already know what urgency means. If something is urgent, it means it's important, right? Well, when we're talking about the urinary system, if something is urgent, we're talking about the intense sensation of the need to urinate immediately. Okay? Now, you may be asking yourself, well, why is this a pathological term? Why is this something, we've all experienced that, or where we just really got to go pee. But people who have a problem, okay, with urgency, okay, as soon as urine gets in their bladder, they have the immediate need. They can't hold it. They have the immediate need to go and pee immediately. This is what they'll tell you. I just have to go and run and do it right then because I just feel like it's just going to come right out. And that's what urgency is. This isn't, I held it for 2 hours while Mr. Brown talked, and then I felt urgency. Okay, this is, I really just, I can't hold it. Every time I have to go pee, I have to go pee. It's not I'm gonna have to pee. I really have to pee. Okay, I think I'll go pee now. It's not like that. It's I have to pee right now. Let me go. Okay, so that's what urgency is, and I want you to understand the difference between kind of a normal urgency for us and an urgency for when it's a problem with patients, so to speak. Okay, next thing I want to go over is polydipsia. I already said this. What does polydipsia mean?
Excessive
Thirst. Excessive thirst, which usually causes polyuria, right? Polydipsia, in which to say polydipsia is excessive thirst, causes polyuria, in which to say polyuria is excessive urination. What goes in must come out. What goes in must come out. So we need to make sure we understand polydipsia. Cystocele. Wait a minute. What did I tell you that word root cyst means? Bladder. Very good. It means bladder. Now cystocele. Not sure if that's on page 138. Cystocele. Kind of like. Right. Exactly like that. But I don't want to do that because I'm a guy. Right. So cystocele is the herniation of the urinary bladder. That's what that means. Cystocele is the herniation of the urinary bladder. I'm trying to find it in your books.
It's on 142.
142? Thank you so much. Okay. So, and which to say, trying to break down, okay, first off, understanding that cystocele is the herniation of the urinary bladder is important. Understanding what the herniation of the urinary bladder even is also important. Okay? So, and which to say, if there is a herniation of the bladder, then that means it is displaced. Okay? It is strained, it's displaced, usually it drops down. All right? And it bulges on the interior wall. All right? So it's bad news, and it does not feel great at all. Okay? So a lot of the times you will see this usually with female patients, but you can see this in male patients as well. Remember, a urologist is going to be the person that's going to be helping to treat or diagnose and treat all of these things. Sorry, if I'm in the way, you guys just tell me to move out of the way. And y'all trying to write stuff down. So anyway, just remember, cystocele is the herniation of the urinary bladder. Okay? Because cell, C-E-L-E, means herniation, and cyst means bladder. So herniation of the urinary bladder. Okay? Y'all still with me? Yes. Okay, so you probably already know the answer to this, especially if you have read the chapter. Okay, so what would you think we would call a hollow, flexible tube? Catheter. Okay, in which to say a catheter, if you got to go through catheterization, it's got to go up through the urinary meatus. We got to go over that, by the way. Figure out what is a meatus anyway. Anyway, through the urinary meatus, going up the urethra and into the bladder. Okay? For males, this does not feel great at all. This is not a fun process. For females, this is also not a fun process. A little bit more tolerable, but not a fun process.
How do you do that?
How do you do it?
Yeah.
You coat the flexible tube with lube.
Well, I don't know where their urethra is at.
Urethra? Your urethra is your exit to the outside.
I know, I just.
Don't worry about it. It's in your
Doesn't
book.
seem, it doesn't seem like it is indeed in your book. Doesn't seem like seem like an entrance, but it is. It is in fact an entrance for your for a catheter. Okay, doesn't feel great. Usually, this is not a fun feeling for your patients, especially if it's the first time they're going through it. But nonetheless, maybe we need to talk about why somebody would need catheterization anyway. Okay, for those people that are suffering from, going back to the beginning, maybe retention, in which to say that they're retaining all this urine and they can't get it out. Okay, these people need a catheter, because if that urine stays in there too long, they can become septic, or their blood could turn literally into acid. So we definitely do not want that urine to stay there. So of course we may do catheterization for that. But then also for incontinence. Okay? They may need a catheter because maybe they are tired of they're just walking around and suddenly their whole pants are wet. Their pants are wet. Okay?
How long does it have to stay in your urine has to stay in your bladder for it until it turns your blood to acid?
It's not that it would stay in your bladder for. What would happen is, all right. So here's how the process of urination works. Okay, of course your kidneys make it and it goes down the ureters, little spaghettis, down into your bladder. Okay, all right. So when it hits the bladder, okay, it expands and expands and expands, and when your bladder gets full, you have two sphincters. All right. So there's the first sphincter. First off, a sphincter is kind of like this. Okay. It's usually closed, okay, but it can also open up. So what happens is it's called an internal sphincter. It opens up, okay, and all of that urine drops down from the bladder through the urethra and hits an external sphincter. This is when the urge to urinate happens, okay. When that bladder opens up that internal sphincter, it's your body saying, hey, I need you to get rid of this, okay. So sometimes there's problems with that external sphincter opening, or if you hold it for too long, that external sphincter will get tired, and basically your brain will tell it, "Hey, you need to release." Okay, this is why you can't hold it for too long. Okay, because your brain is hardwired to protect itself. Okay, so in this sense, kind of going back to your original question of how long it would take for somebody's blood to turn into acid, it would take quite a while, a few weeks actually, quite a while. But you would just be totally sickly and just about dead. It would be a slow, painful process of death. In which to say that all of this urine has dropped down from the bladder and it's out at your external sphincter, just waiting there, okay, to be released.
I got a question.
Yes.
Okay, you know how you say your bladder fills up, there's only like two ways for liquid come out is like through sweat. And so just say if you go into a hot sauna and you gotta urinate, like when you come out, you don't have to urinate anymore. You know, I've done that before.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird, huh?
It's not weird. It's just that your body is retasking all of that water because it's like, I don't want you to sweat. This is too much sweating. I don't like this. Let me use this water.
Okay.
So sometimes you still have to urinate. Just maybe the urge is not maybe as strong.
Okay.
Because the urine's still there, but maybe not quite as much as building up. Because your body's retasking all that water that you lost to try to, hey, I need water. I don't want you to lose water. Okay, so that's what your body's saying. So
Okay.
not quite weird, it's just interesting how your body reacts to things. Yes, but getting back to your question, just to finish that up really quick, what happens is the urinary bladder will fill up, okay? But the ureters are still trying to transport urine down into the bladder. Okay, wait a minute. Well, that's not working because the bladder's full. And now urine is backed up in the ureters. And now urine is backed up in the renal pelvis. And now urine is backed up in the kidneys. Now your kidneys cannot make more because it doesn't have any room. Okay? And so now your kidneys can't clean the blood. And now all this waste, these three waste products, nitrogenous waste, is building up. And now, after a while, it's been used to being cleaned every 5 minutes. Now it's being cleaned maybe every 30 minutes. Okay? Maybe every hour. Maybe every 6 hours. Maybe not at all. Okay? And then you die. So basically, it's a slow process of which your blood becomes toxic, and it literally causes all your systems to fail. All your systems. So, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
No problem. Check. Okay, so nephra. What did I tell you? Nephra meant kidney. What did I tell you? Lith meant
Stone.
stone. What's the other word for stone?
That was C,
That's what, calculi. Very good. Okay. And then who knows this? You should know this maybe from intro. Otomy.
Incision. Resection.
Opening.
It's an X.
Hold on, but it's
It's an exit or
To
surgical.
me means yes, I'll give you that. To me means to make an incision into. And then the O is going to be just a combining vowel in that sense. So a nephrolithotomy. Nephrolithotomy. Removal of kidney stones. Really, otomy is going to be removal of. That was what I wanted you to say. But basically, they need to make an incision in order to do removal of. So if you saw nephrolithotomy, you would be able to break that word down as in removal of the kidney stones. Okay? And we're going to actually watch a video on that, hopefully towards the end of class today. Anyway, what is the you have three triangular areas, okay, that start at your bladder, okay, or actually are in your bladder. What are they called? Trigones, okay? Trigones, in which to say that entrance where the ureters enter, okay, makes like a triangle shape. That's a trigone. Okay, remember you have two ureters. And then the exit, as in you're leaving the bladder, okay, it's kind of pointed like this, and it is once again a triangle. Okay, so that's called a trigone. You need to know that. All right. What did I tell you diuretics make you do? Urinate, right? Okay. What's a lot of us like to ingest diuretics all the time. Sometimes turn it up too much. Okay, it's called alcohol, right? So if a diuretic makes you urinate, what is an antidiuretic? Stop. Okay? Okay? This is a signal to your body. What's happening, the science is that it's a signal to your body saying, retain water. I need you to keep it all. I need you to keep all the water, or as much as you absolutely can. Okay? That's what an antidiuretic does. While a diuretic says, no, get it out. You do not need water. Push it all out. Push it all out. Okay? And that's why you have to go urinate so often. So in this sense, where am I? Where am I? No, looking for something. There it is. Okay. So I told you a diuretic, once again, is where you are, it kind of makes you go and urinate, right? So diuresis, when we put that esis on there, it means it's a condition from which you are creating too much urine. Okay? The condition of increased formation and excretion of urine is called diuresis. The condition from which you are making or forming too much urine and excreting too much urine is called diuresis. When I say mellitus and insipidus, first off, you need to know how to spell those terms. Know how to spell mellitus and insipidus. Okay? Mellitus. So, first off, when I'm talking about mellitus and insipidus, what am I talking about in general? Diabetes. What is that primary word that I said to associate with mellitus?
Metabolic.
Right. Metabolic or metabolic, okay? This is a metabolic disorder. You need to know that, okay? That's going to be your key there. If you understand that diabetes mellitus is the diabetes from which it is a metabolic disorder, then you will get this every single time, okay? But if we look on page 139, we'll see it, okay? Diabetes mellitus, metabolic disorder caused by an absolute or relative deficiency of insulin and characterized by hyperglycemia, glycosuria, water and electrolyte loss, ketoacidosis, and possible eventual coma. Okay? This is where your body's like, it's either making urine that is making insulin that is ineffective, okay, or not making insulin at all. And remember, you need that insulin in order to allow for that process of the sugar. You have all the sugar in your blood, but you don't want the sugar in your blood. You want the sugar in your cells. And the insulin allows for that transfer from the sugar in the blood to going inside the cells so that the cells can use that for energy. Does that make sense? So let's talk about insipidus now. Once again, you need to know how to spell both of these. Mellitus, M-E-L-L-I-T-U-S. Insipidus, I-N-S-I-P-I-D-U-S. Okay? So here we go. This is a deficiency of antidiuretic hormone, which causes the patient to excrete large amounts of urine and exhibit excessive thirst. Okay? So most of us know about the diabetes mellitus, okay, because that's what a lot of Americans suffer from. But some people are born with diabetes insipidus, in which to say that they are not making enough ADH or any at all. ADH being antidiuretic hormone. We just talked about what a diuretic does versus what an antidiuretic does. Okay? The antidiuretic is going to say, hey, keep water, keep water, keep water, keep water. People with diabetes insipidus, their bodies are saying, evacuate all the water. You don't need it. Okay? As such, okay, well, that's what your kidneys are saying. But the rest of your body's like, wait a minute. I need water. So it sends brain sends a signal to the digestive system saying, hey, can you please drink some more water? Okay? And this causes you to have excessive thirst, polydipsia. Okay? But then when that water gets across to the kidneys, your kidneys are like, oh, I don't need this. And it evacuates the water. And it's a circle. Okay? That's what people with diabetes insipidus suffer from. Okay? So, pushing on. What did I tell you that word roots lithmit.
Stone.
Stone. Very good. Stone. You need to know that. But particularly, we're going to put another suffix on this, and you should remember this from intro once again. But particularly, we're going to put trite on there. Trite. If you turn to page 149, you will see this. Okay? That's a trite. Okay? Now, just like there's gram, graph, and grapheme, in this sense, there's trite and tripsy. Okay? A lithotrite, okay, trite is just going to be an instrument, okay, to crush. Alright? Instrument to crush is going to be what a trite is. If it ends with trite, we're using it to crush something. Okay? A lithotrite would be used to crush stones. Okay? And that is particularly the instrument itself. While tripsy, know the difference, tripsy is going to be the process of using that instrument to crush the stone. Right. It's the procedure itself, yes. Know the difference between those. Okay? Almost there, guys. Urinary meatus. Okay? Where is that located? Anybody know?
Up near the urethra?
Yes, very good. Meatus is the opening of the urethra. Okay? And which to say the meatus is that last point before your urine is released. Okay? That's where your meatus is. Urinary meatus. You need to know that. Almost finally, opening of the urethra. Opening of the urethra. This is kind of a big long word. Vesico-urethral reflux. Okay? Or reflux.
Oh, that is the like the reflux of urine going back.
Yes. Okay. This is the backflow of urine from the bladder to the ureters. Okay. This is the same. Remember we were just talking about when your bladder gets full. Okay. And for those of you who are trying to figure out how to spell this, it's VESICOURETHRAL. Vesico-urethral. Vesico-urethral. Reflux. I put reflex. Apologies. It's actually reflux. Okay, but yeah, and it makes sense, right? Reflux is when it's coming back up, right? So in that sense, vesico-urethral reflux is when there's backflow from the bladder back into the ureters. It should not go backwards. Okay? And that can happen for a multitude of reasons. Okay? Turn back to page 138 real quick. I want you to pay attention to azotemia. First off, you need to know what that root word azot means. Azot means nitrogen. Okay? What do you think nitrogen, why do we even say nitrogen when we're talking about the urinary system? What does that have to do with anything? The waste. Very good. It's the waste. Okay? This is nitrogenous waste. Okay? So those three things, who knows what those three things are one more time?
Uric acid, urea, and creatinine.
Yes. Urea, uric acid, and creatinine. And those three things, okay, are considered nitrogenous waste. And we don't want nitrogenous waste. Okay. So first off, you need to know that azot means nitrogen, and then emia means blood condition. Okay? And this is a condition of excessive urea in the blood. What kind of test do you think we would do to figure out if you've got azotemia?
Urine test? I don't know. Oh, nitrogen. Oh.
We went over it yesterday. Starts with a B.
The
Blood test, right? Blood, urea, nitrogen test, right?
Oh boy, it's too much to retain, I tell you.
I know, it's a lot. You can handle it though, I believe you. Okay. And you should already know this, but glyc means what? Glucose, sugar. Okay, glucose, which is sugar. K-A-L, cal.
K-O?
K-A-L-I, Cali or cow. All right, cow. That means potassium. Okay, you can remember this because K plus means potassium. Just so you know, in the periodic table. Okay, K plus means potassium. So cal or Cali, K-A-L-I, means potassium. You need to know that. And then natra. Natra means sodium. Okay, N-A-T-R means sodium. You should already know what pile means. What is pile? Renal pelvis. Very good. So cal is what?
Potassium.
Potassium. Cal is what?
Potassium.
Cal is what?
Potassium.
Okay, what is natra?
Sodium.
Sodium. Natra is sodium. Okay? And you can kind of remember this because in the periodic table, sodium is Na. Okay? Sometimes you will see NaCl, which means sodium chloride. Sodium chloride is what you inject yourselves with when you do immunizations. Sodium chloride is what's in what most IV fluids are made up of. Okay? So Na means sodium. Natra means sodium. Pile means renal pelvis. Cyst, you should already know, means what? Bladder. Okay? Urinary bladder. Lith means what? Stone. Very good. Questions?
What did you say that?
Azot means nitrogen. Azot means nitrogen. Okay. There is one thing I wanted to tell you guys about Tripsy. Remember what did I say Tripsy is again? Process of crushing. Okay, you need to make sure. Yes, stones. You need to make sure you know how to spell that, and it's spelled Tripsy. Okay.
Tripsy.
Tripsy.
Can you go over
Like
the ones
tripping?
that you need to know how to spell again? Can you do that?
Mellitus and Tripsy.
Then the two diabetes words.
Mellitus, and insipidus, and Tripsy.
And Tripsy.
Mm-hmm. We talked about enuresis and anuresis yesterday, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So, what's enuresis and anuresis? And means what?
No.
Or without. Okay. All right. And so it's kind of difficult to break that break in down, but if you know what anuresis means, then you will kind of be able to know what enuresis means. Anuresis means there's a condition of no urine. You're not making urine. If you're not making urine, the kidneys aren't working. Okay? Bad. Bad. Also called anuria. Alright? Without urine. And then anuresis, once again, weighing too much, right? Usually it's applied to nocturia, in which to say you're excessively urinating at night. Okay? But really this just means excessive urine. You're making a lot of urine. Enuresis. Okay? Any questions?
Did I get all my words out there? Or you still going? Okay.
No, I'm done. We went over this yesterday. Any more questions at all?
Just leave that up there for a while.
Okay. Yeah, I will leave it up here. If you want, I can print these off for you. I don't mind doing that.